Yo, Big D here talking about not a huge day of hockey, but a huge day of hockey on the Driving Top production and the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. Big D back and going all things hockey as we talk Olympic hockey. Yes, you think of me, I'm usually a football, baseball guy. Well, we're doing hockey because it's the Olympics in Milan and Team USA, Team Canada, Team Finland, Team Slovakia all in the semifinals. Three crazy overtime games, and the best hockey players in the world, and we saw them peak the day with Team Slovakia being Germany, Team Canada being Czechia, Finland being Switzerland, and of course, Team USA beating Sweden. Sweden. By the way, anybody? By the way, I think we all like 3-3 overtime. At least this way, games are going to end sooner, right? Yeah. But in many ways, I think today we saw that the best hockey players, and frankly, not just teams, but the best hockey players step up in key moments, whether it be Mitch Marner scoring the winner for Canada, Hiskinen or Finland, or Quinn Hughes scoring for Team USA. It's hugely important. By the way, I want to talk first about Sidney Crosby's injury. Anybody watched the Canada Czechia game this morning / this afternoon in Milan? Because the Sidney Crosby injury did not look good. I'm no hockey. I'm not a doctor by trade, but that sure looks like an MCL, sprained MCL. That looks like the injury that knocked Braden Point out of the Olympics. So, ordinarily I would say Sidney Crosby's Olympics would be over, but Milan is probably going to be Sidney Crosby's last time wearing a Canadian sweater, and nothing would surprise me. Maybe not for the semifinal game on Friday, but what if it's a gold medal game? Sidney Crosby's like, you know what? I think it can play. Team Canada could play with 13 forwards. Maybe Sidney Crosby's like a power play guy. Not really part of the actual lines. But what if Sidney Crosby's just like a power play guy? Because Sidney Crosby beats people with his brain. That might be where Team Canada using an extra forward matters. And in a game where it'd probably be a low-scoring game, Sidney Crosby's brain, not me, but Sidney Crosby's brain, passing, and leadership will be huge in turn whether or not Canada wins this gold medal. Because Canada's not the same team without Sid the Kid. Funny we still call Sidney Crosby Sid the Kid, and he's still this guy on Team Canada at the Olympics. But Team Canada got in a nail biter this afternoon against Czechia. I thought Czechia played really, really well. I mean, 4-3 game, back and forth game. Canada scored first, and Czechia responded. Goals in the first, a goal in the first, goal in the second. Malcolm Celebrini from who else? Connor McDavid. Then Louis Sedlak scored for Czechia. David Pastrnak put the Canadians up to down 2-1. And I think that was the first time in forever that Canada, with NHL players, has trailed the Olympics. Then Nathan McKinnon on the power play, even it up at 2. Then Andre Palat scored, making it 3-2, and it looked like, oh no, Canada's in trouble. Well, Nick Suzuki answered. And then minute 22 in overtime, Mitch Marner won pass from Malcolm Celebrini, giving Canada the 4-3 win. This game, I think, was Canada's toughest by far. Not only did these teams play each other, but Czechia's got a lot of really good NHL players. Pastrnak, Hurdle, Palat. And I thought Czechia did a really good job limiting space. I thought, frankly, the Czechia goalkeeper played well, but Czechia's players in general, not just Nika, more than Nikas, but Herder, Good. I thought Radko Gunas was big, got a key assist, and throwing his weight around the ring tonight. Of course, he was part of the hit on cross fee. I don't think it was 30. It was just one of those weird ironies that happens. But I think we saw with Team Canada today is that John Cooper in these big time moments trusts certain players. Because according to Kyle Koch, thank you, Malcolm Celebrini played 22-36. Connor McDavid played 21-48. Nathan McKinnon played 22-43. You look at the ice time, who got the ice time and who didn't get the ice time. Tom Wilson got 8.5 minutes. Brendan Hagel got nearly 16. Nick Suzuki got over 14. Mitch Marner got 16. Mark Stone got 15. Bo Horvath got 13. Or nearly 13. Brad Marchand and Sam Reinhart, 7 and 9 respectively. And then Seth Jarvis got 11. We've seen in these big games where coaches, particularly the top ones, will shorten their bench, meaning maybe only instead of playing 13 forwards, 12 forwards, then 10 forwards, or 9 forwards. Well, I think we saw that with Team Canada because for having 13 forwards, Connor McDavid and Malcolm Celebrini, throwing Nathan McKinnon for all we know, played a lot. And it's like an NBA team. There's a great starting 5, but then the bench isn't quite as good. And for Team Canada, the starting 5, or in this case, the starting forward group, top forward group, would be Malcolm Celebrini, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon. And then potentially Mitch Marner, Brendan Hagel, Suzuki, Stone. But without Sidney Crosby, Team Canada's lines are all over the place. And so, in these kind of situations, we have seen Canada play Celebrini, McDavid, and McKinnon a lot at the Olympics. And while that's great and all, guess what it means? Team Canada's forward lines all over the place. I mean, particularly the day without Cross, because that meant Nick Suzuki was going to take shifts at center. That meant Bo Horvath, etc. Frankly, I don't know why John Cooper's not playing Sam Reinhart more, but that's not for me to decide. Or Brad Marchand, though I think but Marchand's not quite 100%. Tom Wilson didn't even play much. He played 8.5 minutes. But we're seeing who John Cooper trusts. And on defense, it's the same way. Cale McCall played 26 minutes. Devon Taves played 22. Thomas Harley played 20. Nearly 21 minutes. Drew Doughty played 14. Travis Sanheim nearly 9. Colin Parayko was over 10, and Shea Theodore got 12 plus minutes. So Cale McCall and Devon Taves are going to get a lot of ice time for Canada. And frankly, I think most of us expected that if Canada's going to win the gold medal, Cale McCall is going to get a lot of ice time. Cale McCall and Quinn Hughes are the 2 best defensemen, not just at the Olympics, but probably in the NHL. You could argue they're similar but different players. Cale McCall's got a big shot, big heavy shot, bigger guy. I think Quinn Hughes can glide around. He can glide around. I'll talk more about Quinn Hughes winner. Who do we? Gudis is the punk. Well, if you've watched hockey, Dizzle, you will know that Mr. Gudis is one of the NHL hit leaders. And by the way, I don't think the Gudis hit was bad. It's just one of those plays that happens in hockey. Hopefully, the kid's not hurt, but that happens. But without Josh Morrissey, Canada really lacks that second puck handling defenseman. Maybe Thomas Harley, but And I wanted to see what would happen if a team really challenges Canada's D outside McCall. And I thought Czechia did a great job doing that, pinning the defense back and forth. And, you know, looking at Canada's D, basically largely the same group from the four nations. But there's not a great puck handling defense outside McCall, maybe Hawley or Morrison. And that lack of mobility really lent itself a couple mistakes, and frankly, maybe a little fortunate to get away with that today, despite putting up 40 shots. But maybe Matthew Schaefer would have corrected things, but to me, the big story on the back end for Canada is not necessarily the blue line, but Jordan Binnington. Because just like at the Four Nations last year, Jordan Binnington's the reason why Team Canada won today. He played great. That save on Mona Nichas with like a minute and change left is the reason why Canada won. Because if he doesn't make that save, it's game over. And there are questions being asked, not just of Cooper or Doug Armstrong, but this whole Canada team. Now, Canada's alive, and we know it's Jordan Binnington's net the rest of the tournament. Frankly, some guys probably don't care. Some guys you could throw out the regular season. But in these big moments, April, May, and June, or the Olympics, or Four Nations, or whatever event it is, I look at Kike Hernandez in baseball. Who cares what Kike Hernandez's stats would be in the regular season? That guy's playing and doing something in October. It might be throwing on a runner, getting 3 home runs, doing this, doing that. And, I think we're seeing that if you play physical, maybe the grind doesn't affect itself early in the game, but affect late. And, question going to be asked about Canada because not only did Josh Morrissey not play, but Sam Bennett didn't play now. I don't know if Sam Bennett's 100%. But there's a good chance. If Crosby can't play, then Sam Bennett's probably playing on Friday. How much he'll play? But that will be interesting to see what happens if Crosby cannot go on Friday. By the way, I did think Czechia got a couple breaks. The third Czechia goal, I think one of the Czechia goals, the Czechs could have and probably should have been called for too many men on the ice because they look like 6 Czechia players and the goalie out there. And that could have been too many men. Can they get to power play? And who knows what happens. But for Canada. In many ways, we're looking at Connor McDavid having a great tournament, but I think Malcolm Celebrin's the breakout star this. Everybody knows Connor McDavid's a legend right now. But Malcolm Celebrin at age 19 is going to wear the Canadian sweater for a long, long time. This kid is the real deal. And partly because he plays in San Jose, we don't know Malcolm Celebrin, but that kid's amazing. And I'm telling you, he is a huge difference maker for Canada. Why? This team's capable of winning a gold medal in 4 nights. And, as a Team USA fan, I'm always seeing a little bit of McDavid, McKinnon, and Malcolm Celebrin are all on the same line, but hopefully that happens. It's funny. Even as an American, part of me is like, well, I hope Canada loses because that would improve our chance, the American chance of winning the gold. And part of me is being realistic, saying we need a USA-Canada final like what happened at the Four Nation face-off in Boston. Because if the US and Canada don't meet in the final, none of this matters. It could be USA Finland or Canada Slovakia. It's gotta be USA Canada because there's not that hated rivalry. There's not the continental pride if it's a North American battle between the rivals up there and the rivals down here. I mean, you see the flag right there. And as for Canada, let me tell you this. Don't get Canada 3-on-3 overtime because that team's pretty good. I mean, you imagine McDavid, McKinnon, McCall 3-on-3. Oh my goodness. And for Czechia, I don't think Czechia's got anything to complain about. I think Czechia played well enough to win. Just Bennington made the big saves at the end. I mean, Lucas Dostal made 37 saves in this game. He had to make one more. But that Czechia team, with Nikas, Palat, Pasternak, Gudas, played well enough to win this game. But just one of those crazy games. Speaking of overtime, we'll not finish with overtime yet. No, we're just getting started. How about Finland, Switzerland? Yeah, Finland coming back from down 2-0 to win 3-2 in overtime. Overtime with Miro Hiskinen tied it, and then Terry Lehkonen won. Excuse me, thank you. But Damien Rapp put the Swiss on the board first, and Nino Niederreiter made it 2-0 to the Swiss, and then the Finns kept coming. Sebastian Aho put Finland on the board. Then with 10 minute 12 left in the third period, Miro Hiskinen tied it, and then Terry Lehkonen won it in overtime. I think he won a couple overtime games, one in Montreal and then one with Colorado. So this guy's been really caught. But today was different from Finland because usually if Finland gets a lead, can't score on them because it's such a great international team. Today we actually saw Finland having to come back late in this game, and I think we saw a different side to Finland. I mean, Sebastian Aho doing things, Miro Hiskinen, Lindell, fans of the Florida Panthers will know Anton Lindell. But I mean, Granlund, Hintz, Rantanen, all played 23 minutes today. Ooh, boy. Played a lot of minutes today. Yeah, Finland basically played 12 forwards. I mean, the 13 forward didn't see any action. And speaking of ice time, Miro Hiskinen played 29 minutes and 19 seconds. Yeah, Finland basically played like 4.5 defensemen. Lindell played 25. Mikko Mikkola played 20. Rasmus Royce played over 20 minutes, and Oli Mano played 12. Nicholas Montepe played 4, and then the other guy, Henry Jurako, is that how you say? Played 6. But so basically Finland played 4.5, 5 defensemen all game. I mean, I think Hiskinen played like 25, 26 early in the tournament. That guy's going to get a ton of ice time. Meanwhile, for the Swiss, Nico Heischer, Timo Meyer were both over 20. Roman Yossi was over 20. JJ Moser was over 20. But it's a really competitive, well-played hockey game. I think there might have been penalties, but UC Sauls and generally made some saves. UC Sauls wasn't as big. But in many ways, I think it shows what Finland's made of and a different side of Finland, because usually Finland plays a great defensive, great checking game. Today we saw Finland really be aggressive and needing to be aggressive. So, um, Finland, I mean, everybody talks about the Canada, US, Sweden's team being all NHL. I think Finland's all but one in the NHL, so that's basically an NHL roster. And despite not having Balkov, this Finnish team's got all kinds of stalls everywhere. Not just Dallas stalls everywhere. Hello, Christopher. And so, for Finland, I mean, Ward get to face Team Canada on Friday. So, that's going to be fun. I'll break down more of that game in a little bit. Meanwhile, I think the biggest surprise at this tournament has got to be Slovakia. I mean, who had Slovakia in the Olympic hockey semifinal? Not me. Yeah, Slovakia in the semifinal instead of Sweden. Slovakia not only is in the semifinal, I think they should be in. I mean, 6-2 in a game that they really controlled throughout the game. I mean, got ahead 4-0, then a couple consolation goals from Germany, but it was far too little, far too late. And frankly, I think Slovakia is a great underdog story, not entirely an NHL roster, but Savkovsky, Juraj Savkovsky has been a star at these games. Another assist today, just doing all kinds of things. Chernak, what he's doing on the back end, getting assists. 5 in goal, great again. For Germany, I think Germany just ran out of gas. I mean, Germany's roster was probably top heavy with NHL guys. I mean, Draisaitl, Treka, Nico Sturm, Stuttle. Who's the Morez, Snyder, and of course Phil Grupow. But I think Germany's guys just ran out of gas. Hi. How are you doing? How's it? Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was great. Oh wait, sorry. And could Slovakia be the underdog story? I mean, there's 3 hockey superpowers in Slovakia. So, can Slovakia be the big storyline at the Olympics? At least if you're Slovakia, you're the only team that didn't need extra time today. Everybody else needed more than 60 minutes, including Team USA against Sweden, To be honest, I think going into this game, we knew Sweden, USA would be the toughest quarterfinal game. Not just because of the NHL power on both these teams, but the fact that these teams saw each other at the Four Nations face-off, that Sweden actually beat the US in Boston. Oh, happy birthday, Yaja. Wait, yeah, Yaja. And this was going to be a heavyweight showdown, and by golly, it was. It took until, second period before a goal was scored. Yeah, midway through the second when Dylan Larkin scored. Really defensive-minded. Not a lot of grade A chances. It was a rugged, old-school kind of rugged, grindy playoff game. Then Larkin scored from the Hughes boys, making it 1-0. And then Mika Zibanejad scored, 90 seconds left to tie it up? It's like, oh, no. But Quinn Hughes, after literally playing most of the overtime, I think he was on a shift for 75 seconds, took the pass from Matt Boldy and Austin Matthews, scored past Joachim Malmstrom, U.S. wins 2-1. I know what everybody's saying. What happened today? Why was this a low scoring game and what the U.S. did in the early? Well, first off, there was not a lot of space in this game. There was very little room. And frankly, in a game like this, nobody wants to make the mistake. They'd rather play more conservative. And I think in a way, the space for them. The best period for the U.S. was that period right at the middle, late point in the second period, with Larkin scoring the goal, and the U.S. kept coming forward. But in a way, I think the third period, the U.S. stepped back too much. And maybe we fell asleep, and then Sweden all of a sudden, last 5-6 minutes, kept coming, and eventually the dam broke. But in the end, the U.S. won. And I'll tell you what's big for the U.S. today. Connor Hellebuyck made some big saves. I think he made one in a second that was huge, which helped set up the goal. And then, of course, Dylan Larkin, not just scoring, but back-checking, defending, winning faceoffs. Dylan Larkin's a highly underrated player for the Detroit Red Wings. It's just we don't see Larkin because he never plays playoff games. And I think in this game, we saw what Dylan Larkin can do. Jack Hughes has been big in this tournament for what he's done on the wing, scoring from the wing. In terms of ice time, nothing crazy from the top guys, at least for Team USA. I'll talk more about Sweden in a minute, figure out and explain why I think Sweden's coach cost his team a chance to win. The Kachucks played 17 and 15 minutes respectively. Eichel was at 21. Matthews was at 18. Boldy and Gensel at 18 and 17. Clayton Keller obviously didn't play much. He played like 4 minutes. Walken played 15. Tage Thompson, Brock Nelson, JT Miller, Jack Hughes between 12 and 14 minutes. Vinny Trocheck over 8. Sweden, Gabriel Landeskog was over 20. Zibanejad was at 19. Lucas Raymond over 21. Kempe, Eriksson and Milan were between 17 and 19 minutes. Philip Forsberg's over 13. Elias Pettersson 9. Pettersson, Raquel, and Lindholm at 9. Holmberg 11. Weinberg 13. Jesper Bratt 6. Honestly, I think the Sweden coach did one of the worst coaching jobs I've ever seen in hockey. How Jesper Bratt didn't see any action until the third period is mind-boggling. Because Jesper Bratt is, let me see, is a really good player for the Jersey Devils. 13 goals, 41 assists. This guy's a 20, 30 goal scorer in the NHL literally year after year. And you're telling me he couldn't get a shift until the third period over like Holmberg or some of these guys? I mean, Pettersson wasn't close to the ice at the end of the game. I mean, Sweden was basically playing like 8-9 guys toward the end. And on the blue line, oh boy, Sweden's guys were really up in minutes. I mean, Erik Olsson led all Sweden skaters with over 27 minutes. Philip Broberg was at 25. Forsling and Dahlin were over 19. Alfred Ekman Larson was at 14. And Hampton's Lindholm was over 15. Victor Hedman was actually hurt in the warm-up, and we were wondering, like, why is Victor Hedman not playing? And then the NBC broadcasters found out later that Hedman was injured in the warm-ups and did not play. And for whatever reason, Sweden decided that Victor Hedman on the bench was better than a healthy Rasmus Anderson. So Sweden basically played with the NHL 6 defenseman, which is what everybody plays in the NHL. But yet, I don't know. I honestly, I honestly don't know whether or not. Oh, don't know what could have happened. By the way, both goalies were excellent in the Sweden U.S. game. Both goalies were relatively busy. Jakob Malmström made 38 saves. I think Connor Hellebuck made 20. By the way, Hellebuck leads all goalies with what, a 958 save percentage at the Olympics. Not bad. But um, you know, for USA hockey, this win is big because going home before the men around would have been embarrassing, even if it's against Sweden. By the way, for the U.S., Quinn Hughes was over 27 minutes, and I think he was on the ice for like nearly 2.5 minutes, and all in overtime, and then was on the ice for what 75 seconds when he scored. That guy's engine just keeps going. I don't know what Quinn Hughes does for VO2 workouts. I want Quinn Hughes as trainer. I mean, we all love the Kachucks playing each other in the Hughes boy. But if Cale McCall is the best defender in the world, Quinn Hughes the number two, or vice versa. I mean, Charlie McAvoy today played like he did at the Four Nation with his physicality, and I think brought a different side to the USA. Slavin, Faber doing their thing, Walensky. You know, it's unfair. Zach Walensky's only getting 17 minutes because that guy's great. Sanderson and Hannafin, not as much ice time. But, I think even with the win today, questions are going to be asked about Team USA, whether or not Team USA was strong. Because, again, Tage Thompson, where's he been? Clayton Keller barely played at all. Would Kyle Connor made a difference? Heck, would, in 3-on-3 or shootout, the game would have continued. What if Jason Robson or Cole Caulfield would have made a difference at 3-on-3 or in a shootout? But thankfully, Quinn Hughes ended that drama. But lessons must be learned from this game. The U.S. cannot sit back like that against Slovakia. They cannot let Slovakia control the game. The U.S. needs to be on the front foot, be aggressive, don't let up, get that forecheck going, because the Americans are not going to outskill teams. The Americans don't have the firepower like Canada does. Team Canada can outskill teams. Team USA will outwill teams, hammer them into the ground, and then keep coming after. Like Team USA reminds me of an SUV. And today, I think Team USA, particularly in that second period, played like that. No, no, no. Go home, you Canuck. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Come on. Come on. But, I was thinking before this time, Team USA strength on the blue line. Turned out the defender scored the biggest goal of all tournaments so far. Quinn Hughes. So, bet you Billy Guerin is happy he got Quinn Hughes on his NHL team. But I think it'll be a great semifinal. Finland and Canada. I mean, two hockey heavyweights, and so much star power. I mean, who knows if Sidney Crosby plays? But Finland's got a bunch of dudes. I think it'll be a very good game. Slovakia and the U.S. I mean, Slovakia may be a surprise. I think Slovakia has 100% earned its chance to play the U.S. Now, maybe the U.S. gets a break in playing Slovakia and not playing a Sweden or Finland or Czechia or Canada. But the U.S. should not take anyone lightly. By the way, I've got to give a shout out. I've got to congratulate Jakob Malmström, second game back to back in nearly 40 saves today. That guy played great. I thought both goalies played great. Hellebuck made some unbelievable saves. I mean, the first goal from Walken really was just a great deflection. Markstrom didn't have a chance. Yeah, I root for Sidney Crosby. Well, I think we all want Sidney Crosby healthy because, Sidney Crosby is one of the greatest leaders in all sports. This guy was the youngest captain to ever lift Lord Stanley's Cup in 2009. So, hopefully Sidney Crosby plays because even as an American, I think having Sidney Crosby play his last Olympics for Team Canada would be something. And I mean, it'd be the proverbial passing of the torch from one all-time great to the next all-time great, and probably Connor McDavid. And then he'll pass the torch to maybe Malcolm Celebrini. I'm also a Penguins fan. Well, you should be thinking, well, Mike Sullivan won your 2 Stanley Cups back in the day there. And I think he's Charlie McAvoy's father-in-law, if my memory serves me right. Yes, thank you. But I'm not. I mean, we don't usually talk hockey on the Drive and Top Productions, Spunky Spectrum Sports, but I thought we'd be doing so. I mean, if you see the title, it's not a huge day. It's a Hughes day of hockey because Quinn Hughes won the game. But with 3 overtime games, all kinds of craziness. By the way, Canada, Finland, Friday, 10:40 Eastern. Slovakia, Team USA, 3:10 Eastern. So both semifinal games. Winners, of course, go to the gold medal game on Sunday. Losers play for bronze on Saturday night. By the way, Canada and the U.S. play for the women's hockey gold medal final tomorrow. Switzerland and Sweden play for bronze, so there will be all kinds of fireworks on the rink. Whether it's curling, whether it be slalom. I mean, we saw Michaela Schifrin get her first. Win an Olympic slalom gold medal today, but a second and a half. Craziness. And the fact that NHL players are at the Olympics and we're seeing these crazy games, whether it be Lettinen or Mitch Marner. By the way, I think Mitch Marner won one of the 4 Nation face-off games in Montreal last year. So guys have that clutch ability that it doesn't matter if it's a close game at the end. Who's going to be that hero? Who's going to get the goal and win the game? And honestly, I think it's important that we take back and just admire some of these guys at work. Whether it be a Quinn Hughes, whether it be a Sidney Crosby, a Connor McDavid, a Miro Heiskanen. Because not that many years ago, NHL players wouldn't be at the Olympics, and we're seeing the best hockey players in the world. And I hope we see hockey players play at the Olympics. Although some of these guys might want a little rest, but that's either here or there. Congratulations to Slovakia, Canada, Finland, and the U.S. for winning their quarterfinal games today. And hopefully we have a couple more crazy semifinals coming up on Friday in Milan, Italy. So all the hockey writers there can get plenty of calls. And as we near 40 minutes, this is the Big D. Signing off after a huge day of overtime hockey in Milan, Italy.